Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion. I call this the Crazy Troll Nation, and I call this chapstick. This is candy cane scented and flavored. I picked it at random, and it's almost done. It is not it is turning up. Okay, it's not almost done. Sorry about that. If you're new here, thank you for being here. And if you're returning, thank you for returning. I just woke up maybe like 40 minutes ago, and so I'm still kind of out of it. Fenty brow pencil, Fenty primer, Fenty foundation. I wear shade 335. This was very angry. I don't know what it is, but even with foundation on, it did cover it up some. I think I know what it is. But we're going to get into the eye look. I'm going to prime my lids. As I'm doing that, I'm going to do the intro. We are using DeDe's Signature, the classic autumn palette. We're doing a look with this today, and we're going to see. So I'm excited and I'm hopeful. Oh, I do have two other things on my eyes. Lower lash line, NYX retractable eyeliner in deep purple, and upper and lower inner rooms, waterline, tight lining. We used the NYX retractable eyeliner in brown. So this is everything on my face. I have brushes laid out. I have eyeliners laid out. I am pulling out, I'm not going to pull out a mascara right now. And I have concealer out for later if we're going to clean up. I didn't set the face. I don't have any powders on the face. And so we are going to get started. My eyes still are a little teary, number one, from just waking up, and number two, from tight lining. And so hopefully all of that will dry down and not be an issue for the finished look. So, Fenty eyeshadow primer. The concept of the Crazy Troll Nation is, if you do videos, just knowing it's okay to be yourself. And if people want to think you're crazy because of however you are, know that you are amazing. What you think about yourself is far more important than what other people think about you. So please know that, and think highly of yourself. Not in a conceited type of way, but just knowing that you're a decent person. And if you're not, you know that you're not, but I have a feeling that you are amazing. The troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. Try not to feel like you need to use a certain brand or a certain tool or even a certain technique because that's what's hyped up or that's what you see, or even some videos will say you must use this or must use that. Use whatever you want to, however you want to get your makeup on in a way that you are satisfied with it. The bottom line is, here at the Crazy Troll Nation, it's a crazy concept. Hold on for it. If you've been here, you know what I'm going to say. Self-acceptance and self-love. Embracing your natural features, enhancing them if you want to, when you want to, but never feeling like you have to. That may sound crazy to some people because they're all about, what will this person think? Am I going to be accepted? Are they going to like this look? Love yourself, y'all. Just love yourself and own who you are. And if there are things about you that you know need to change, then work on that. But not because somebody else said so, but because you just want to be a better person for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I feel like my clinical hat is about to slip on my head, so we're going to slip it right back off. So that's the concept of the Crazy Troll Nation. If you're new here, I need to let you know I do curse in my videos sometimes because I curse sometimes. I do. I try to catch myself. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Me doing this is trying to get the dampness off of here, and I don't know if it's working. But anyway, we're going to get into this palette, and I am excited about it. Oh, hold on a second. I know I said I was going to put this on when I did this because, one, is the brand that's new to me, and two, some of the ingredients, I'm like, are my lids going to like it? So, lab coat. Putting on the lab coat, we are experimenting, and I do pray and hope that all goes well. I did a live. If the live looked grainy or pixelated, I apologize. I don't know why. My lives have never looked like that before, like once they converted to a regular video, and so part of it was painful for me to even watch because I'm just like, this is horrible. But at the end of the video, the last thing we did, I should have did timestamps, was swatches of this palette. This was gifted to me from one of my channel members, Sandy. Hey girl, hey. And so I'm excited to get into it. Excuse me, but I did do forehead swatches of all of these shades. Excuse me, all of these shades. It is fruit themed, so everything is named after a fruit. So The one shadow in here that's very flaky, and Sandy said I would need to use a tacky base. For me, the Fenty primer is a tacky primer, so I usually, don't have problems putting shimmers or metallics or flaky shades, even the Chunky Monkey Celestial shades, on my lids on top of the Fenty primer. So we're going to use this first. We're going to try, actually we're using these three, but this is the chunkiest of them all. This is super chunky. So we're going to try applying them with the Esom V27. I have multiple brushes of those, and if that doesn't work well, we will switch to sponge tip applicator. So the first shade we're going to put on is Mushroom on the first third of the lid. That's what this one is. And so I know from the swatches I need to pick up a chunk, and it is messy in a pan because it does chunk up. I knew from swatching it, trying to pick it up with the sponge tip, that I need to get the chunk and then smear it. Don't tap it off, but smear it on. And so that's what we're going to do. So this one, I'm not tapping off. It is challenging to get the chunk on the brush. You see in the pan, these are all chunks, but trying to get them on the brush, and if I tap off, the whole chunk just kind of taps off. So get the chunk on and smear it. This is like one of the celestial shades in Moonlit Seduction. The color is gorgeous, but you got to get the chunk on and then smear it out. Otherwise, you won't even see the color, like not at all. I didn't want to take this far over, I don't think. And it's looking very textured. And so I'm trying to make sure I'm smoothing it out so that it doesn't flake down into my eye. And unfortunately, this area right here feels wet. Sometimes my eyes do tear upward, but maybe that'll help hold the shadow. I don't know. So dry brush, teary lid. This is Mushroom. It does look very textured, which some people may not like. It may accentuate texture on their lids. But this is what needs to be done for me to get this shadow on. And I am smoothing it out, and it is looking smooth. Maybe I should turn it this way so you can see better. And so there's no chunks on here. This is what the shadow looks like. This one. And you see how it's still flaky in the pan. So we're going to do, oh my gosh, I have a huge flake. It just fell off on my lab coat, and what I had just put on the brush before I tried to show you what was on my lab coat flaked off onto my cloth that I have down here. Shit. I am very cautious about this shade because I don't want it to flake into my eye. So I did just put a huge flake on my lid, and so we're just trying to smear it around. If you are okay with using your fingers for makeup, that might be better than a dry brush or a sponge tip. But I do always just start with a dry brush. I seldom wet my brush. And if I have problems applying it, then I'll switch to a sponge tip applicator. For me, a sponge tip applicator mimics finger application. I just don't like using my fingers for makeup because I'm messy and I'll forget that it's on my hands, and I'll touch stuff and I'll be like, what is this over here? What's this mark? And sometimes colors don't come out, and I've ruined, well, not ruined, but because they were house clothes, house pants, end up with shadow or powder or something if I did swatches on the back of my hand, or just use my hands for makeup, and then I put my hand on my pants, and later on I'm like, what's this mark? And I'm like, oh shit. So thankfully those are just like indoor clothes. But that's why I don't use my hands for makeup, because I'm messy. And even though there's a cloth here, sometimes products don't just wipe off. I have to go wash my hands or wash my arm if I did swatches on my arm. So this is Mushroom, and so we have it on. There's flakes and chunks in different places. I'm going to take this brush because there is, I don't want to flake this way, some stuff under here, and it's not coming off. And I just smeared some of Mushroom right here. This side is okay. This side, and I do admit I did put more bigger chunks larger chunks on this side to get it on. But it is looking very textured. So again, if you don't like that, and I'm still just trying to smooth it out just to make sure it's not chunky on the lid, and it's what was there that would flake off is on my lid, and I didn't want to take this far over, but I did what I had to do to get the shadow on there. And we will put on concealer later or something, or maybe just more foundation just to try to get this off, because if I keep messing with it, it's just going to pull off the foundation that I have under here. So let's just leave it because we don't know what the other shades are going to do. So now we're going to take Star Apple, which is this shade, and that's going to go in the center of the lid. My first time using these shadows, the swatches were amazing color-wise. This one is compared to Mushroom, it's hard pressed, but it is picking up just putting the brush in it. So this is what that looks like. So let's see what that's going to look like here. And so we are very much just experimenting. It is hard pressed, more hard pressed than Mushroom. It is going on really well. One of the things about swatches is I don't always apply shimmers or metallics with a sponge tip applicator, and so the swatches may appear different or more vibrant than eyelid application, and that's why I don't get really excited about swatches, because it doesn't, number one, it doesn't say how it's going to perform on the lid, especially if they're finger swatches, because I don't use my fingers for makeup, so that's not adequate for me. That's not the word. It doesn't suit me, because it's not going to show me how it's going to apply on the lid just because you put your finger in it and the color was very saturated. The same with using the sponge tip applicators. I think I'm gonna move to a sponge tip for this one because I'm having trouble picking it up on the brush. And so we are overlapping a little bit because I'm looking at it now like, I don't know how these are blending. And we are very much experimenting. So that's why we have on the lab coat. We're going to switch to, I do have fallout from that one as well. But these are like very, I'll just say metallic. I'm not going to say sparkly. This one is hard pressed. I don't know whether to call that hard pan or not, but you see that shine in there? That's where I was pressing the brush in it. So it is hard pressed. And I was listening to someone's video and they said sometimes it's not hard pan, the shadow is just hard pressed. And so I think this one is just hard pressed. And so this is a sponge tip applicator, but it does appear hard pan. And it may be, so I don't know. I don't know if it's hard pan or just hard pressed or both, but this is what hard pan typically looks like, is when you end up with a sheen across your shadow and it's hard to pick up with, I have sparkles all over my lab coat. Yeah, this is interesting. So far, so good. I'm not feeling any sensation on my lids. And that was my concern, was, are my lids going to like these shadows? Having said that, there have been shadows before where they felt fine, but once I removed the makeup, my eyelids were swollen and red, and not from staining. They were just red. I had a reaction that I didn't feel, but it was a reaction that I was able to see. I like how these blend together because it is looking like a multi-chrome. When I look straight, you can tell these are different colors, but then when I turn, it just kind of blends together, and I really like that. I am concerned for my eyeballs because I have a lot of flakes on my face and my station is looking very messy. So now we're going, and this is Star Apple. So that one did get a little messy as I continued trying to pick up the shadow because it wasn't wanting to pick up on the brush. It is hard pressed. Now we're going to move to Figs, this shade here, and we are going to apply that on the rest of the lid. So I was really excited. This one is creamy. It's picking up easy. It looks beautiful. So we're going to put this over here. Oh, that looks nice next to Star Apple. This looks orange next. Well, it does look in person. It looks red. In person, this looks red. And I don't remember what it looked like when I did the swatches. I really honestly don't. And that was just yesterday. Today is November 7th, but it's like 2 in the morning. On the 6th in the morning, around 11:30, it was my appointment was 11:30 for my third Botox treatment for migraine treatment and prevention. And so I was very sleep deprived because usually I'm asleep at 11:30 and my appointment was at 11:30, which means I got up earlier than that. And I knew I was going to be wiped out. And so I picked up Wawa on the way home. I ate, did a few things, packed a little bit because I'm going away Wednesday and I'll be back Sunday. And so I packed clothing. I didn't pack toiletries, I didn't pack makeup. And I'm trying to decide what makeup to pack. And that's one reason I wanted to try this palette because I didn't want to take it with me, use it, and then possibly have a reaction. So I said, if I'm going to have a reaction, I want to have it when I'm home. um, and so then I went to sleep. And I think I went to sleep about 4 in the afternoon. And I woke up at about 6:30. And I had fell asleep on the sofa. So then I got up and got in the bed. And I woke up around 8. And then I woke up around 10. And I kept going back to sleep. And finally it was like 11:30. And I still didn't want to get up. I was still just feeling really out of it, really tired. And so finally at like 10 after midnight, I'm like, let me just get up. What is this? I did brush my hair. Oh, it's a piece of hair that wants to just curl. So I'm like, what? Y'all, I'm tripping. But anyway, so that was my day, and this is early morning. I'm nocturnal, so it's not unusual for me to be up at this time. Usually I go to sleep. My bedtime used to be between 4 and 6 a.m., but lately it's been between like 7 and 10 a.m. This is nice because this really just blends in the Star Apple. So this is the first third of the lid. This is the center of the lid. And this is the outer lid. This is interesting. It's not my usual look at all. We are going to have to, I don't know whether to do concealer or foundation under here to clean up. And there's a clump of something. You know what? I think that might be eyeliner. Thank you for bearing with me because I know I'm doing a lot of stuff. And is that a freckle? I thought that, no, it came off. That was a chunk of probably the eyeliner from my lower lash line. And I have like flakes. I see flakes down here. So I think I'm going to just put foundation all over the face again and maybe also concealer. So now what we're going to do, we do not have, oh we do, we have a transition shade. I didn't pull out a brush for that. So what are we using for our transition shade? We're using Beats. So I'm going to take a fluffier brush. Beats is this shade. So we're going to take this brush because it's tapered. This is the one that we were using to try to get the fallout off my under eye. So I'm doing this just to make sure there's no shadow in it instead of taking a clean one. So we're going into Beats. This is the first matte we're using for this look. And I'm turning and tapping. And we're going to tap off. And part of me is thinking I should take pumpkin like on the first. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to take the same brush, but a clean one. And we're going to go on the pumpkin, this shade here. We're going to put this on the first half of our transition area. And we're going to do Beats on the second half of the transition area. I see this puffing up in the air because I am tapping. So we're going to lay sideways and just smooth that over. This is a very soft brush, and so it is not disturbing the shadow on the lid. So we're going in again, in the same deal, we're turning and tapping, and then we're tapping off. So actually, instead of transition area, this is more so just brow bone area, because I do take my lids up into the transition area. So we're swiping to get somewhat of a blend. And again, because the brush is soft, it is not disturbing the sparkles in the shadow. So we're going to put that brush down. Now we're going to take the brush that we put Beats on already. And we're going to tap that over here. And hopefully it's not too dark for my liking for under my brow. And so that's where that's going to go. This was a very deep shade when I swatched it. And so I am going lightly so that it's not really dark under my brow bone. And so I'm looking at this here. Not sure what I feel about it, but it is showing up. Down here, the visual is shaded. So when I look up here, I see more of the color because it's darker down here because of how my lighting is set up. But yeah, I'm tapping the tip of it in and just putting it right here. I'm debating, I was going to use the black in here, black Tupelo for upper lash line, but then I thought that would be messy, me trying to use a shadow for upper lash line. I tapped in again. So I may I think I want to put just some of the black on the outer corner. That's what I want to do. So between this look and the next one, we will have used all the shades in the palette. This is definitely different for me. I want something like right across here. So when I do the black, maybe we'll try an outer V and sweep that lightly over. But for right now, are my under eyes still leaky? I think I want to clean up first and then do lower lash line and then come back and do upper lash line. I'm trying to feel or see if this is wet. I cannot tell because it'll look patchy because the tearing takes away color from in the crease, and I can't really tell because the shadow is so sparkly. So the Fenty foundation, we're going to do one full pump. We're just going to go for it because I have stuff all over the face as far as sparkles from the shadow. We're going to use the brush that we used for foundation, and we're going to put that here and here and here and some more where it looked like I ran into a doorknob. So anyway, this is what we're doing to clean up the face. The other day when I did a look, that video is already scheduled, and I put concealer under my eye, and it did like blink out a lot of, I think, a lot of my under eye discoloration. And I was saying how I wasn't sure if I liked the look because it looked brighter under there, and I'm used to seeing some darkness because I do embrace my under eye discoloration as long as, you know, I just want to even out my face, but I still want to look like me. And it didn't look like me to me. But it grew on me. Like as the day went on, when I would look at it, I'm like, this is nice. And when I watched the video back, I'm like, this is nice. But it still didn't look like me, but it did look nice. And so now I'm like, do I want to always do that? See, like right now, my under eye discoloration is minimal. It appears minimal. And so that's enough for me. But when I put the concealer under there, it was just like, hey. And I was like, ooh. So we're going to, what I'm going to do for the sake of time, I'm going to powder down, since we just put on more foundation, the Fashion Fair Set It Loose powder in Truly Tawny. And I'm just, for sake of ease, I picked it up and then I put it down because I was going to do, my first thought even earlier was to use the Hourglass Snake palette. And then just now I picked it up, put it down, and I was about to pick up the Eastham, and I said, let me go with my first thought. So we're going to put on the Hourglass Snake palette. We're going to use at least 4 things in here: highlighter, bronzer, blush, and finishing powder. So at least 4 things out of here we're going to use. This is the finishing powder we're going to put on last. This is Radiant Light. This is Solar Bronze, the bronzer. This is the highlighter, something Infinite Strobe Light. So the blushes in here are these 3. I don't know which one I'm going to use. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to come back, finish under eye. I don't have a lip picked out. Let me grab one. I grabbed the black, but I actually want a purple this time. I'm thinking green just to like add spice, but that's Dark Forest. We're going to do it. Sephora Collection number 29, Dark Forest. It's a dark green, but it doesn't always show a green. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the lip later, but right now, powder down, Hourglass powders. And Then we will come back, finish under eye, upper lash line, mascara. I'm going to pull out Violet from MAC. So I'm sitting everything out now, so hopefully I don't forget. And that will be, do I want to line my lips? We're going to take out NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in Alien, which is black. And yeah, we're going to come back when, let me just go. I'll be back. As you see, we did the lip, powdered down with Fashion Fair, did the hourglass. I'm feeling something, but this is tearing upward. It definitely is, and that's why it looks like a patch right here, because when it tears, it creases the shadow and it starts to get itchy. So we're going to go back to the palette and we're going to take Eggplant, this shade here. We're going to put it on our lower lash line, and we're using this thick brush so we can place and blow out at the same time. So we're just going to place the brush and just wiggle it in, wiggling in the shadow. Forgive me if I was out of frame, out of focus. Looking down here in the mirror, when I could just use the mirror and the palette, that would make sense, right? Yeah, it would. And this is not the way I wanted it to do. But, you know, I think we are going to buff this out later, too. And so we're placing and wiggling the shadow in. We're going back in, and we are tapping off. And we're bringing this out here as well. I think I want to use a black. I actually don't want to use a black for upper lash line. I think a brown would make more sense, but do we always do things that make sense? And y'all know I want to try that orange from Milk Cosmetics, but this is not that type of look. I'm trying to be sensible here since we're experimenting with something new, so I don't want to do anything that's going to be too distracting from the eye look. And I still need to take, where was that little brush right here? We're going to take black Tupelo, and we're using just a small, it's kind of fluffy, but not too fluffy, because we're going to try to do an outer V, because I just want something else. I do like the look though, and so we are going to try to do an outer V. So we're taking the tip of the brush and we're coming to the top of the purple on the lower lash line. We're going to do the other side, and then we're going to come back and feather that, blend it a little bit. So we're coming straight out to the corner and then just coming straight in to the top of the purple. So that is an outer V. It looks like a V. So now we're going to, actually, what's left in the brush, we're going to lightly just pull over here just to have some dimension up here and to give some distinction between the colors, even though we want them to blend in the brow bone shades. So this is what I was wanting, just like some more color, just something else here. So we're going to feather back and forth to blend, and we're going to do the same down here. I kind of want to keep it harsh as far as the outer V part. Usually my outer V's just turn into an outer corner shade. And I think because of the blending, but I don't mind if I'm going for a particular look just to keep it kind of harsh. But I do want this line blended right here. This black is traveling, y'all. That's nice. That's nice. So I do want this up here blended, but I'm okay with, this is definitely different. And I think this is why I was thinking to do a black for my upper lash line, because we're putting the black here. And part of me is tempted to feather it in, and I almost did that. This is definitely different. This is different. This is itching in here. We're going to tap in lightly because there's a gap right here, but since we are going to use a black liner, that'll, you know, help cover that up. I'm digging this look, definitely different. I'm liking it. I am liking it. We're going to, is that it for the shadows? That is it for the shadows. And so now we're going to take, y'all know I want to do this orange from Milk Cosmetics. But we're not. We're going to put it down and back away slowly. We're going to take Paint Pot from MAC. This is Black Mirror. So we're going to take a black, and this is the MAC 210 brush. And so we're going to swirl this in here, get it on the brush, and we're going to start to apply. I don't know what's going to happen in here because this is wet right here. And I think thankfully the other eye isn't tearing, so that's really good. Well, actually it stopped because they were both tearing earlier. And I must be shaking something because this mirror I'm looking into is wobbling back and forth. I think I'm being still. My elbow is planted on the table. Now we're going to go in and swirl again. And we're going to come over and put the liner on this upper lash line. I'm hoping I'm at an angle where you can see. I really like this brush. And I'm really thinking of decluttering some of the Esom brushes. Because if I use just the tip of that brush, the Esom eyeliner brush, I can almost get a thin line, but not as thin as this one. Not as thin as this one. And I do have some Zoeva brushes from either TJ Maxx or Marshalls, but they just feel a little rough when I do lash line on my upper lash line. That didn't make sense. This one I am liking a whole lot better. I like that. So you see how we just put that liner, we're going back in again, that line on top of the black. So we're starting where the lower lash line is and coming straight out, trying to go straight. Sometimes my straight turns into a swoosh. I never intend for it to swoosh, but sometimes it just does that. And I know I'm doing it, but it's not intentional. I think there's a gap in here. So we're just filling in the gap. That is nice. I am liking my wings today. Now this eye is tearing downward. Yes, this eye is not happy. So that, let me see what else we were going to do. Mascara. We're going to put on the Violet from MAC. Let me spray the face. The Fenty Makeup Refreshing Spray. Woo. All right. Alrighty then. Excuse me. Excuse me. So now we're going to take, I'm going to edit this part out. We're going to put on a mascara. This, y'all, is the finished look. I am excited. I do think the lip, for once or twice, it actually looks green on me. And it is a dark green, but usually to me it looks like a blackened green or a green black or something like that. But it's looking green right now. I do think it ties in well with the eye look because it just adds more overall color. And this being called the Classic Autumn palette, this is autumn shades to me in my part of the world where I live. So this is the palette again. First third of the lid, center lid, outer lid, first half under brow bone, second half outer brow bone. And we use this for our outer V and dragged it over into the crease. We put a purple liner on our lower lash line and we put this on the lower lash line. So we've used 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shades for this look. And I am digging it. And this is 2, 4, 6, 8, it's 12 pan palette. So we got 5 more shades to use the whole palette. I do like the look. The first shade, this was a lot of work because you got to get the flake on your brush, on your finger, on your sponge tip, and you got to place it and smear it. That was more work than I'm used to, but I'm okay with it because I do it for the Chunky Monkey Celestial Shades. And so I've learned, get the chunk on and smear it. And this one is hard pressed. So that was, but with a sponge tip, it did work a little better, but it's still hard to pick up. And you can take a spoolie and scrape it off or put a piece of tape over it and then just use your fingernail to run across the tape and then pull the tape off. That'll pull it off. But if it is just hard pressed, it's going to do that every time you use it. And so that was the only 2 things where I was like, okay, this is a little more work than I want to do because I'm a simple troll. I just want to put the brush in it, put it on, and it works. And this, we didn't use sponge tip for that one. We just used a dry brush for this one. This one just went on really smooth. And surprisingly, it looks like this shade, like it just blends in. So again, this is the center of the lid. This shade is outer corner and it just blends in. The swatches with the sponge tip on my forehead, it was very bright, very vibrant, very bold. And so it surprises me that it just blends in. But looking at the entire lid, Like this, you can see two different colors, the mushroom shade and this one. But when you turn, it looks like a multi-chrome, and I'm really digging that. And so I know this look is different, but this is what I do here. Like this is this is my aesthetic. And so I am right now enjoying the look. More work than I wanted to do, but the look came out nice, and my eyes were tearing before, so I'm not going to say this one is still tearing because of a reaction to the shadows. I'm not going to say that, but we'll see when I wash it off what my eyelids are looking like, if they're swollen or red or anything. Also, very messy. I have fallout all over the top half of my lab coat and the bottom half of the lab coat where some of the flakes just fell out. So mushroom is very messy, and I knew that from the swatches because it was everywhere in the pan, down here on the mirror. This one, messy a little bit, but this right here is very messy, and yeah, my lab coat is looking crazy right now. So if you're going to use this palette, if you're going to use mushroom, if you're okay with doing your foundation and everything after your eyeshadow, that would probably be the best thing to do. But I know you didn't see because I edited it out. Did I edit it out when I added more foundation? So it wasn't a big deal, and it did cover up quite nicely adding more foundation. And so it's not really a big deal. But yeah, so far I'm digging it. Thank you, Sandy. And that'll be it for this video. If you have the classic autumn palette, let me know your thoughts on it. Some of you in the live said it was on your wish list, and so you see, for me, with my skill set and how I apply my makeup, what my experience was, and you saw how the shades went on, you saw the struggles, you saw what I tried to do to fix it. And I do think the look is bomb, and I am loving it with the lip. I'm glad we went with black for the upper lash line. That'll be it for this video because I feel like I can go on and on and on. But yeah, I'm excited. So thanks again, Sandy, and for the rest of you, and for Sandy as well. As always, self-acceptance, self-love, that is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you will see me soon.